Okay, so here we are for lesson 4.3. It's multi-digit division. So we're going to be on page 95 in the book. So we're going to kind of start at the top. And I'm not going to read all this, and I'm not going to ask you to read all this. Most likely you know how to do all this. Not a big deal. Basically, I'm going to show you, go through a couple of these just to make sure you understand. You remember, I'm sure you've done this before, but we're just going to figure this out. Okay. First of all, I want you to look at the top of page 95, and we're just going to read a little bit here. As with a lot of what we've looked at so far, I imagine you have already studied how to divide multi-digit numbers. But if we don't understand the why behind the methods, it's all too easy to end up viewing that method itself as division or some sort of man-made truth rather than as one way we, using the creativity God has given us, keep track of place value. So let's look at why our division method works and how it leads us to the correct answer. Now we're going to first start by looking at a different way to solve the problem 48 divided by 2. Using circles as an illustration, she says in here that she purposely chose this because we can break it apart easy and it's a simple method. So basically, she's got 48 dots on this page. And then what she did is she grouped them into 4 groups. There's 8 in each group. Okay, you know that. This is basic second grade stuff. Most likely you've done this before. Just want you to see it. Next, divide the 4 groups of 10 by 2. Notice that just as 4 divided by 2 equals 2, 4 groups of 10 divided by 2 equals 2 groups of 10. Okay, we've got that down. Turn the page. Now the main thing I want you to see is actually on page 97 where it says term connection. You have the dividend in the box, and then outside the box you have the divisor, and then on top you have the quotient. The quotient is an answer to a division problem. Or you can write it out the other way, dividend divided by divisor. The way I always remember it is, you see a little box that we use for division? This box right here that we use, okay? Well, dividend goes in here, and that's a longer word than divisor. And that's generally kind of how we see it. So anyway, I just kind of think of it like that. Okay, so basically, let's do this. Now, this is simple, just making sure you remember. You may not have done it in a while. I have to review it with my kiddos. Okay, basically, I'm going to do it old style. This is how I was taught. How many times can 2 go into 4? It can go 2 times. 2 times 2 is 4. We're going to subtract. This is 0. Bring down our 8. Okay, now we got something here. 2 goes into 8 4 times. 4 times 2 is 8. And again, we subtract. We have 0. That's just what we call long division. No problems. Now we're going to walk through one more problem here. This example that they have on the page. On page 97. It's and try not to look at the end answer. So we're going to do this. You can do it with me on paper if you want to. Just kind of follow. Now, if you know how to do this like really good, like in your sleep, you can just turn this off and do the assignment. But otherwise, I want you to watch it just to make sure. All right, now we know that this is 365 divided by 5. This is the dividend. This is the divisor. Our answer will be the quotient. Can 5 go into 3? No, it cannot, but it can go into 36. So that means we're going to put our answer right here. How many times can 5 go into 36 without going over? Let's try 7 times. Now we're going to multiply. 7 times 5 is 35. And then we put it under the number we're working with, and we subtract. That's 0, so we don't have to answer that. This is 1. And then we bring down our next number, which is 5. Oops. Okay. How many times does 5 go into 15? 3 whole times. 3 times 5 is 15. Subtract. You get 0 for your remainder. 73 is your quotient. Now, I want you to notice how we stay right in line. Now, one of my daughters is like me, and she can get very confused with the way she writes some of her numbers. So oftentimes I'll have her get, you know how a piece of notebook paper is like this, and you've got the holes here. Of course, you've got the little red line here and the red line here, and you've got your lines that go across like this on your notebook paper. Okay. If you will turn it long ways like this, where the holes are up here and your lines run this way, and you may know this trick, I don't know, and then you can put your numbers here. And see, that way you can keep them. Of course, you'll want to move it up here and do it, but that way you can keep lines in here to show how the place value stays in the same place. So you can do that if you want to. It might help you. Or you can use a piece of graph paper, but that is kind of tiny. All right, so look at page 98. It says the rule. This is in the middle of the page. Below is the algorithm or step-by-step method written out as a rule. So basically there's 4 steps. First you divide, then you multiply, then you subtract, and you keep going until you get to the very end. The thing about it is you've got to keep everything in the right space. Now look at the keeping perspective on page 99. Division methods are good examples of how we can use the creativity and reason God gave us to observe and record His creation. Although the word work has a negative connotation in today's society, God created man to work. Even before the fall, God gave Adam the task of ruling over his creation and subduing the earth. So, and God blessed them. This is Genesis 1:28. God blessed them, and God said unto them, be fruitful and multiply, and replenish the earth, and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over every living thing that moveth upon the earth. And then again in Genesis 2:15, and the Lord God took the man, and put him into the Garden of Eden to dress it and to keep it. We find it encouraging that God didn't just give mankind tasks to do, He also gave us the ability to do them. He equipped us with the capacity to develop techniques such as division methods to help us in various tasks that we would encounter. All right, so basically, this is what you're going to be doing on worksheet 4.3. Since I don't know how good you are at division, some people are just, they're really good, and some people struggle with it. I sometimes struggle with it. My daughter sometimes struggles with it. So, one of my daughters. So, I completely understand if you have any issues. Now, if you got this, then you can just go like flow and do worksheet 4.3. Now, there is a back page to that, some on the back. I don't know yet if I'm going to grade this because I don't know if you have trouble with it. I don't want to grade it if you have trouble. So I just want to kind of wait and see. If you need more help, let me know, and I'll scan the worksheet and I'll put it on the screen and I'll help you that way. Otherwise, if you got it, then thumbs up and you go. So that will be all of your lesson for today.